future trends, deep insights, industry leaders. This is the Igaming Next podcast with your host, Heidi Lofthus.
Good morning, Cordelia.
Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning. It's an amazing way to start the day having you here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about unlimited vacations, and it's going to be fantastic. This news was spread out through social media last week, and I wanted to sort of grab you firsthand. Then you obviously had some tricky situations coming back to Malta from the UK. I would have travel restrictions now as well from Gotland, from the island in the Baltics where I'm sitting, not because of COVID, but because of the wind. It's a hurricane out there and all the ferries have been entirely blocked.
Yeah, I think there's been quite a lot of strange weather because I also then got stuck in Amsterdam because of the fog. So yeah, my travel back to Malta was pretty horrendous, 21 hours.
We will have been so exposed by the end of this year.
I know.
Cordelia, you joined Kafe Rocks about half a year ago, something like that. Tell us everything.
Sure. So yes, I joined Kafe Rocks in August of last year. I've been in Malta almost 6 years now. I started my career working for the UK's largest recruitment company, and I focused on senior finance before then making the move in-house. So I was at Katina for 3 years as their talent acquisition manager. And then, I made the move to Kafe Rocks as head of people. And my team really encompasses everything to do with the employee, or as we call them at Kafe Rocks, Rocketeer lifecycle. So that covers retention, recruitment, engagement, learning and development, and employer branding.
Fantastic. Yeah, you even have rockets and stuff on your website as well.
Yeah, we do.
Your website, when I go through it, it makes me think that this is an altruistic aiming company, and like, is it really too good to be true? But let's go into the other stuff later on as well. But vacation, unlimited vacation. It's not the first in gaming. I mean, Paddy Power, Betfair, they have this as well. I've been trying to sort of get some information on how it actually works, like straight from the employees and the organization itself. But I have you here to share this with me. This year it starts.
Yep. So we launched it from the 1st of January this year. Okay.
And is it a trial?
So really, we wanted to implement it as a new benefit. I think whenever trialing something new, you never know how it's going to go, but we're committed that this will be the future of the business and that it won't be a kind of 3 or 6 month trial.
All depends on obviously how the employees take it and if the turnout is good. So where did it come from?
Sure. So I really wanted to take inspiration from businesses outside of the gaming industry. I think that the gaming industry, although is very innovative in many ways, also when it comes to pushing the boundaries of benefits and employee well-being, there's still a way to go. So I took inspiration from companies like LinkedIn and Bumble and started to look at the way that they put employee well-being as a central value within their business. I then put together a benefits proposal, which went to our board at the strategy day in October. There were things in there which I thought would definitely go through, which did, but unlimited vacation was one that I wasn't sure about. When looking at a benefit like that, you have to also be willing to look at the advantages, the disadvantages, and of course the potential risks. But I was thrilled that actually it really wasn't difficult for me to get it signed off. The owners were super excited about it, and also all of the C-level. So it made my life really easy.
I mean, it's a tricky perk, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when reading up about it, it's not only the suns and the golden forests that are promised. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of loopholes and traps that a company can fall into by introducing this. But I got a few questions about this. Sure. Before that, digging into that, can you give us a little bit of light on sort of the Kafe Rocks organization? Who are you? Where are you?
Yeah, sure. So we're an Igaming affiliate, and we focus within sportsbook and casino. We're remote first, so although we have an office in Malta called the Oasis, we have around 50 employees in Malta. Our workforce is 150 plus. And we have people all over the world. So Brazil, we had somebody in Australia, all across Europe as well. For us, we're not tied to any location, which also really helps us recruitment-wise. But I think it also gives us quite a unique culture because we have people from literally all over the world.
And it's been like that since before COVID as well?
Since the start. So we're remote first at our core. That's one of the key parts of us as a business, yes.
And this is, would you say it's the third or fourth year of running?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So it's exciting times. And I think that being a not publicly listed company as well, I mean, there are so many things that it's good that you guys try these things out for the bigger ones to sort of follow suit should it be very positive.
Yeah, and I think also having come from a listed company, there's a lot of things that you aren't able to put through as ideas. And I think it's great that Kafe Rocks, the owners, are totally behind us to be able to make it, you know, a fun, productive, of course, but a really engaging work environment where people really love coming to work.
Okay, so this was introduced. Management are happy. That sounds like a very easy to work with management. Yeah. Well done. The communication to the employees, what is it that actually changed? Policies, or is this just everyone uses their common sense, or what's been the information to employees?
Sure. So when I was doing a lot of the research, a lot of companies that trialed it where it wasn't successful, the place that it fell down on was the education piece to the workforce. So first of all, after I had got the idea signed off in principle, we also wanted to see, was it something that the employees would really like? Was it a benefit that they would actually appreciate? So what we did is we went through our employee surveys, and we started to see a bit of a trend around work-life balance and around vacation. We have a Christmas shutdown between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And I think some people felt that, you know, taking 5 days out of that for holiday, that actually maybe it would be good for them to be able to use those days elsewhere, for example. So what we did is we sent out a benefit survey to all of our workforce as well, and asked them to list, in an ideal world, what other benefits they would really appreciate. We asked them what they found of the current benefits, what we could offer, and also what other companies that they've worked in have offered. And what we started to see with using both the historical surveys and also the new survey was that there really was a theme. And the theme was around vacation and people wanting to have more holiday, to be able to spend time with family members, for people who live in countries where their families maybe don't, to be able to spend more time with them, actually on holiday rather than working. So once we got that data, we then started to see that, yeah, this definitely made sense. So behind the scenes, my team have been very busy, and we've been working on policies around unlimited vacation, how to book it, how to work with your manager, and you know, what is enough holiday, what could be seen as too much holiday, these types of things. So we got all of the policies ready, and then just before Christmas, when we launched our new strategy for 2022 and beyond, we then also launched our new benefits. So within our new benefits, not only do we have unlimited vacation, we also have 24/7 mental health support for all of our workforce at all times. And then we've also made considerable changes to maternity, paternity, victims of domestic violence as well, to be able to really give people psychological safety that, you know, it's okay to not be okay, and that we're here to support them. From a workforce perspective, we've always used a tracking tool for people to be able to request holiday. That hasn't changed. I think it's important for us to see who's in and who's out any day. But the only difference is now that instead of the timer counting down, it just counts up, and there's no then limit.
And I can see that since you're sitting in so many different locations, I mean, this could be, I can understand that your team has been working very much. There's a lot of sort of situation scenarios, preparations in this, and thinking ahead. When setting this up, I guess that you're trying to avoid as much administrative work as well, by sort of exceeding the country laws. So when it comes to the framework, is there any kind of minimum days that you have to take so that you don't go in and mess with the country laws? Do you have like a minimum days and then it exceeds, or how does that work?
So we're following a local legislation, but of course, as we're in many different locations, that's something that we need to kind of pay close attention to.
All right, so in Malta, for instance, this year you take 28 days as normal, because that's sort of the basic, and then you're free to take as much as possible, or what's reasonable here?
So I think what's reasonable kind of comes down to what the individual thinks is reasonable. When it comes to an initiative like this, you really have to have a workforce where trust is at the core of the business, and we trust people to make the right decisions for the business. So if somebody's finished a project and they want to have 2 weeks off, of course they can have that off. If somebody wanted to, for example, have 6 months off, we would then work with that person to then say, okay, maybe you could work every other week for the first month and then have, 3-4 months, and then we will wait to see. We are a business at the end of the day, so we also need to be pushing for results, but we really want to empower our workforce to be able to take the time off that they need to be able to feel, rested, recuperated, and ready to kind of start work again.
Because I can imagine in October, you're standing there in front of the owners and management and go, this is really good. Not only for us as a company, obviously branding, higher performance, better retention, but also for the employees. And, they feel supported by the company that they actually, I can take this. No one is going to think it's bad that I'm off. So management sits there and they, do you think that there is any sort of discrepancy in terms of what management think, that Chris is going to take Friday off because he was working a lot over the week, whereas Chris is going, I'm going to take a lot of months. I'm going to maybe travel, do this dream of my life journey. Do you think that will there be any implications like that moving on?
I mean, I think as we literally went live, 20 days ago, it's difficult to say what will and what won't happen. But I think the plan is that we'll be working closely with the managers and also working on a number of workshops to be able to support them on empowering their teams to not feel anxiety about taking vacation. That was one of the real risks from when I was doing a lot of the research, that people don't take holiday because they feel then that they can't, or they don't know what is too much and what's enough. So we really want to keep the dialogue super open. We'll be doing audits to check that people are taking holiday. We'll be keeping our Christmas shutdown period to ensure that everybody at least has those 5 days over Christmas. Whether we then look to bring in other shutdown periods, maybe one over the summer, I'm not sure. But really we'll be encouraging managers to then say to their teams, look, I'd really like it if you took Friday to Wednesday off, for example.
All right, so it's a LinkedIn kind of setup with minimum days, but also the entire company shuts down over certain periods. So
exactly. At the moment, over Christmas. So Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Fantastic. So there are two things here that I'm thinking of: managers and their expectations on managers and tools that they have to actually sort of be kind of aligned on this. Whereas the culture that you were talking about, employees feeling almost frowned upon making vacation requests. I can really see this. You start by feeling the floor a little bit. What's the trends? How are the other ones doing? And it opens up. Your cat is enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, she's waking up.
Are you actually on vacation right now, Cordelia?
Yes, she is.
You are? That's actually one of the... Let me get back to that. I'm going to write that down. Expectations of work during the time off.
Yeah.
I'll note that down. Managers. How have you prepared them?
So we've had discussions internally, and as I mentioned, we will be running workshops with managers to be able to discuss with them and work with them on removing this level of potential anxiety. But us as a business, we are much more results driven than hours focused. We have our core hours, but apart from that, the expectation is that work will be done when people want to do it. It's not so important. And I think that that's more the modern way of working. And for us as a remote first company, we have people in totally different time zones. So to expect people to be able to be at their desk, shall we say, everybody from 9 a.m. Central European, that's just not feasible. And that's actually not the culture that we want. If people work better in the afternoon, no problem, work in the afternoon. If you're more of a morning bird, then do that. And I think that also then ties into the trust, which was so important for us to be able to have before looking at this initiative.
Are you a morning bird?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I would say
early morning.
But
So
I get stressed in the afternoon.
Yeah, I get up at 6:15 every morning, and then I work out, start my day, and then I'll be on emails from quite early. But that's just, for me, that's just how I'm kind of energized.
Good, starting the day efficiently. Right, so back to managers and the expectations then. It makes me think about, you were saying you're being results focused rather than hours put in, which makes sense. The tricky thing here is all the managers now being able to put in or actually follow up on the KPI set for every project. How many hours does a project take, etc., and how to actually keep track and set up these goals. I would say that's the biggest sort of change or transformational change in the work that we need to do in order to fully adapt the results orientation.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, as a business, we've been trialing different ways to be able to drive performance. So as a business, we've kind of moved to Confluence, then setting up kind of missions, plans, milestones, timelines. That's kind of intrinsic now to most teams across the business, and that helps us to be more output focused.
Imagine then this year, it's a lot of vacation days. Let's say that you manage to get you pass all the traps. No one is feeling frowned upon requesting vacation. This turns out to get absolutely, smashing results. A lot of vacation has been taken. People are super happy. They're going to stay next year. Retention is high. However, input, hence results, might be a little bit lower, maybe as expected, because people are actually off more, which, as we're talking about, is actually a positive thing. Do you foresee any added recruitment, or is the understanding and the communicated message more, as long as everything that you normally do is done, i.e. work harder during the time that you actually work, you can get, a proportionate vacation or time?
I mean, I think that's a really good question, Heidi. When we look at Kafe Rocks as a business and how quickly we've grown over the last 3.5 years, we'll definitely be continuing to grow this year. If I look at my team as an example, there were 2 people before and now there's 8. So, and that's just one team within the business. So we will need to continue growing, maybe not quite at the pace that we have over the last year or so. It's been, real hyper growth, but we'll definitely need to continue to recruit.
And with the understanding that extra recruitment might actually come from the time where people would normally have worked otherwise.
I mean, I think By us taking it steady over the next 3 and 6 months, closely looking at things, auditing holiday days as well to make sure that people are taking appropriate breaks. I don't foresee that we would get into that issue kind of blindly. I think that it's something that we would realise quite quickly. But the business are totally behind us to be able to continue with this initiative, so that if we then need to recruit more, then yeah, we absolutely would.
What have the employees said so far? It's 20 days in. People just return now to get, productive. Have you any words from the floor?
Yeah, it's been really, really positive. Our employee survey, which goes out quarterly, we're just reaching the end of the submissions, but having a look through some of the results, we're trending about 10 points higher than we have over the last year. And almost everybody has mentioned vacation and the new benefits. So it's been received really, really well. And I think the workforce feels supported, and they feel that employee well-being is central to us as a business, and that really is great to see that, you know, a lot of our behind the scenes, the hard work, that it's really paid off.
What are your plans? Do you have any plans this year?
Traveling wise?
Yeah, exactly. Vacation wise. How do you see yourself this year?
Yeah, sure. So I go to Greece with my family every year for 2 weeks to Corfu. I've been going there since I was tiny, so I'll be going there. Possibly a trip to Finland to hopefully see the Northern Lights. And then my family are maybe looking to plan a trip to Oman or Tibet when life gets a little bit easier. And I think, you know, when putting these initiatives through, it's really important that the leadership team are also leading by example. If none of them are taking any vacation, then it really kind of makes no sense in the initiative. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, a lot of the sea levels photos from far-flung, beautiful destinations this year.
Best year ever.
Yeah,
exactly. On that, and this was the point that I was not going to forget as it came up. So traditionally, you have X amount of vacation days. There's nothing weird with actually taking them, but it's a little bit of proudness of, it's so much work, I can't take my vacation. And in reality, it's just not very smart.
Yeah.
However, what can be expected and what should be expected, and I think we all agree, is that on this time off, you're actually off.
Yeah.
Right? So your boss shouldn't call you unless it's something super important, and you were the only one that can manage this. But otherwise, the time off is supposed to be respected. Now, is there any implications with this? Let's say that you stay in Greece for a few months on time off. Will you be entirely off in terms of not being reachable to your employees or to your team? How? You know, because then it's blurry, you know, during the 28 days, you might be entirely off. But then where is it reasonable that, you know, now Cordelia is on her extra time off and then she's more approachable or available? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, we will see how this develops over the year. But when people are on holiday, we expect people to be properly on holiday and switching off. Of course, if somebody is off for an extended break, then we would probably book in some check-ins along the way. It depends also if they're in a leadership role, whether we would then have them checking in with their teams, but also it depends on the length. If it was a month and really we could then get somebody else within the team to pick up those leadership responsibilities, we would probably go that route. But I guess it'll be a case-by-case basis to see what requests come through over the next 3 and 6 months.
Yeah, exactly, because it would be sad, because then it might actually go into, I was not rested at all on my holiday. Yeah, people start calling me on the first day of my holiday. Whereas you want to have a give and take kind of culture as well. Yeah. So, okay. So people are expected to sort of keep their output as is while still being allowed or actually compelled to take more time off to live your life.
And I think, you know, we've seen as well that towards the end of last year, there were people who really needed a few days off. And we had instances where we said, you know, look, take the rest of the day, take the morning off, but just for them to be able to book in and to not need to go to somebody to say, look, I'm exhausted, I really need a couple of days, or, I need to go and help out my partner, my wife with something. To be able to go and do that and just take the holiday, I think is, more flexible as well.
Yeah, and it's a powerful tool for managers, depending on the organization as well. But to be able to say, hey team, let's go. Tea together.
Yeah, exactly. And as a remote company, we have much fewer physical touch points with our workforce. So to be able to, when life gets easier, we try to plan roundups where teams can go and physically meet. So my team, we went to Barcelona, we had the best 5 days workshops, a lot of team building exercises. It was really fun. But to be able to encourage more of that as well. And then if people want to add a few days on and, go and explore a city on their own, then that's something, of course, we would support too.
How are you going to evaluate the year?
Yeah, so we'll be keeping a close eye on the NPS surveys, which go out quarterly. So as I mentioned, we're just gathering the results of this one and it'll be closing tomorrow. We'll also be catching up individually. So I have like a virtual coffee hour every Friday for anyone in Kafe Rocks to come to chat to me about anything that they would like. But I also have regular one-to-ones with people all across the business. And then just gathering feedback as we go throughout the year, as well as auditing vacation days. So keeping a close eye on people who maybe historically didn't take much and trying to actively encourage them. Because like you mentioned, if people aren't taking holiday or if they're afraid to take holiday, then is that a resource issue? Is it that we need more people in the team? And if it's that we do, then we should recruit, because people should feel that they're able to take holiday. Because, that feeling when you come back, when you've been away for a week, 10 days, and you've properly switched off, maybe you've checked your emails once in a while, you might have had a check-in with somebody, but really you've been off, enjoying time in the present, spending time with family and friends. You really come back and you have like such a new energy. And I think that energy is something which is so important in a business.
And I also think that, this year will teach you a lot, and we will learn from it. And if we think bigger and sort of outside our own personal lens, like this is the way I prefer taking my time off, it will vary entirely throughout the organization.
Totally.
Some people just want to have the luxury of, I'm taking the afternoon off.
Yeah.
Or I'm planning this a few weeks ahead. And then it's obviously up to the managers being, to understand what are the trends and what is okay. And, individually adapt to the employees as well.
Exactly. And, even before unlimited vacation, when we had our standard vacation, we still had some guidelines in place. If you're going to be taking more than 2 weeks off, we'd like to have, around a month's notice. And that will continue to be the same, just so that we can sort out resources to make sure that that team is still functioning effectively. So those bits internally haven't really changed. It's just that people now have the freedom to think, okay, in 2 weeks' time, maybe I would like to go away, or maybe I'm going to work remotely somewhere. Maybe I'd like to have an extra couple of days to take off, or a long weekend.
What else is cooking at Kafe Rocks? Would you do the 4-day work week?
Sorry?
Would you do the 4-day work week?
So I think it's a really interesting idea, and I think it's amazing that they've managed to get that through. Maybe that could be the future for us. I think that we would be ready. I think it's the same tools that are needed, whether it's a 4-day week or unlimited vacation. Trust, accountability, and effectiveness at work. It's the same. It's just kind of packaged differently. But I think we will continue to be more, output focused and less hours focused. That's what I really see as a business. We have our core hours, and the expectation is to be in around those hours. But other than that, we don't mind when people work. So, yeah, I think maybe it could be the future one day.
So, because you seem to be very... not all over the place. That's a very negative dissonance to it. Kafe Rocks on the website gives me a good impression. There are many goods that, their values, there is a focus on the environment.
Yes.
management puts in an equal amount of any dollar contributed or something like that. And I think it sounds, it rings with your values as well. I mean, we've been talking about this. You've been wanting to go towards people, organizations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So corporate social responsibility is something which is really important to us. We are, this is something which is really important and at the core of our business. So we had our digital reunion in December of this year, and we partnered with Neil Ajus, who won the world record for the longest self-assisted swim in the world, swimming from Italy to Malta. He was amazing. He came in and did a really inspiring talk, and we're actually going to be partnering with him hopefully this year and his charity Wave of Change to be able to help clean up some of the beaches in Malta and also go on a little bit of a swim with him, which will be super exciting. We're also looking to maybe do some charity days where people could choose from a selection of charities and then go and spend, a day or two working with them. And then we've also been partnering with a charity which looks after and helps with conservation of the rainforest in the Peruvian Andes. And we've managed to save 600 acres of primary rainforest. And that's been something which is really special to all of us. That directly impacts all of us eventually at some point. And deforestation is something which is, huge in our lifetimes. The fact that there'll be so many rainforests that were there that aren't there anymore. We take it really seriously, and we want to do the right thing and to be responsible wherever we can, whether it's partnering with local charities or international charities. That will also be more of a focus.
Amazing. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at
I know, Tiggy. She was doing her downward dog.
Upward dog or that, whatever it's called. Yeah. Upward cats. In terms of, millennials and XYZ generations and expectations now wanting to be at workplaces where values are met rather than monetary income, you want to feel like you contribute. Have you had any feedback from candidates or employees? Is KafeRocks the place to be in that sense?
I mean, I'd like to say yes. I think employees really enjoy working with us and working here. I think there's always more to do. Learning and development will be a focus for us this year. Over the last few years, we've grown so quickly that we haven't necessarily been able to focus on career pathing. But this year, that will be something that's important to us. And of course, the support that you've given us when it comes to putting us in touch with the salary benchmarking business. So we're really looking forward to that and seeing the data there. And of course, that's going to be so useful, not only looking internally at our workforce, but then also externally for recruitment purposes.
Yeah, I think that's super exciting, the results that we're going to get this year. We are contributing as well, so we're going to get the same data as all the participants, but that's a first. And
I think it's amazing as well that we're in such a large cohort. It means that the data is so much more likely to be, accurate, and it will really shape, all of us to be able to look at trends in the market and really where we are at for salaries.
Exactly. And also the entire package.
Yeah.
So here you can easily benchmark and sort of see trends in the industry.
Exactly. And I think as well, with that year on year, it's also only going to improve, whether we then get, newer areas that we then focus in, we then start to look at how it's affected this year versus last year. Yeah, it's really exciting.
I can just, think back, maybe not 15 years, 15 years in gaming, when I started, of course we had some contribution to gym card, there was some insurance, fruit in the kitchen, but the extra, the transformational experience, life turning events, I mean, that wasn't really there. And I think it's good that we have this competition in one way, because it keeps us updated and very ajar to changes. And I mean, if we can listen into LinkedIn and Netflix and all the other ones testing these things, then we're such a small industry still, so that we can adapt and follow suit.
Exactly. And I think, you know, before I moved into gaming, my life was expected to fit totally around work, that work was, you know, at the core, and everything else would have to wait, whether it was doctor's appointments, whatever, that they would have to fit in around that. And I think it's great that the industry that we're in, that actually life can sit alongside work. And that, you know, if you need to go and do something, if I need the vet to come for one of the cats, if the plumber's coming, whatever it is, that it can fit into work. And I think that it does make you more engaged, and it definitely makes you work harder knowing that you have that flexibility.
Or at least work smarter. Personal reflection here. I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. But to give you an example, what comes to me right now is what has changed in me over these last years in terms of changes in work. Yes, it has accelerated in terms of speed. We can be much more efficient sitting in meetings and obviously count the hours and the output in that sense. But something in me has also shifted from, you know, to find the natural things that you're good at. So like, I think I've never been this creative before, and I'm an extremely creative person, but now it sort of flows, you know, in a different way, because I can adapt or sort of adjust my hours entirely to that.
Yeah, but I think that also ties into being somewhere where you feel able to drive innovation and creativity. I think I never thought I was that creative, and then coming to Kafe Rocks and being able to say my ideas and have people think, you know what, yeah, that sounds cool, let's trial it. That's a really exciting place to be.
Which is also another add-on to culture, the approachability. What have we missed today? Is there anything that we haven't discussed?
I don't think so. I think that's everything.
Yeah, you were sitting waiting for Heidi to ask the question on.
I was like, brace myself.
But it never came. Cordelia, I think that, you know, I think it's short and sweet, and people will listen in with a lot of attention.
Thank you.
If we keep it to this. Amazing having you.
Thank
Fantastic.
you so much for having me.
All the information. A last request.
Yes.
Will you, in one of our HR Connect sessions, share a little bit with the other ones as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Nice. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much, Heidi. Take care and have a good week.
You too. Early bird. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.